Hey, what's good? Prash here, and I know it's been a while, but today we're going to be doing something a little special for my Mach 6 Golf R. So today we're going to be changing out the multimedia system in my Mach 6 Golf R, so that is the OEM RCD330, and we're actually going to be changing it out with the Scumaxcon, I believe that's how you pronounce it, but yeah, the Scumaxcon RCD360 Pro. So yeah, this system has Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all that good stuff, and it's definitely going to be an update from the OEM multimedia system that came with the car over a decade ago. So let's take a look at what the system actually looks like. Alright, so this is what the system actually looks like, and I gotta tell you, it's a lot sleeker looking than the OEM system in the Mach 6 Golf R. I can tell you that much for sure, and I know for a fact it's a whole lot lighter than the original system in the Mach 6 Golf R. And I gotta say, right off the bat, this definitely has the look of the multimedia system that comes with the Mach 7 Golfs. Alright, so setting this down here, let's take a look at the cables you get. And the first thing you'll notice is that there's an adapter, and we're just gonna have to see when I do the install whether or not I'm actually gonna need this cable, because with these systems, it is pretty much plug and play. And I do believe these are the cables for the radio and antenna. Alright, so we've seen what we get in the box. Let's get to the install portion of this video. Alright, so this is me starting up my Golf R, just so you can see what it looks like with the OEM multimedia system, and this will give you a good reference of the original system when compared to the new one. As you can see, aesthetically they are quite similar, with the newer system just again taking design cues from the newer Mach 7 systems. So for this install, it is important to know that you will need a T20 torque screwdriver, or if you have a T20 bit with a socket wrench, that will work as well. Also, a trim removal kit will also make your life much easier during this install, and there are plenty of cheap options available on Amazon or AliExpress. Alright, so the first part of this install was fairly simple. All I had to do was take the trim removal tool that I showed earlier and gently pry off the trim covering the OEM system. So again, this takes a little bit of time, but you got to be gentle as to not actually break the clips holding the trim in place, because you will need this trim piece again after you've installed the newer system. You will need to put this trim back on, so yeah, it is important to try and keep the clips intact. After a little more persistence, the trim piece finally came off, revealing the OEM system and the 4 T20 screws holding it in place. At this point, all I had to do was remove these 4 T20 screws, and then I could gently pull out the OEM system and reveal the cables at the back that needed to be detached. After removing all the screws, I had to be very careful when pulling out the OEM system, as there were a bunch of cables still attached to the system, and I just had to be careful with removing each of these cables one by one. I will admit that some of these cables actually had clips that were incredibly hard to actually take off, and in turn it made actually pulling these cables out from the system so much harder. It actually took me a good 10 to 15 minutes just trying to get these clips to come off so I could actually detach them from the OEM system. After finally detaching the cables from the OEM system, I realized that I would actually need to use all the adapters shown in the unboxing portion of this video so that the new system could maintain power, functionality, as well as the radio system and the steering wheel controls. After connecting the adapters to the OEM cables, all that was left to do was to hook everything up to the newer system. After attaching all the cables to the newer system and ensuring that they're all fastened using the clips on the cable ends, I was ready to put the newer system back in place. I then started up my car just to make sure that the newer system was working as intended and that there were no hiccups. I didn't put the T20 screws back in just yet until I was absolutely sure that everything worked as intended. So after checking out everything and making sure it all worked, once I was happy, I decided to put the 220 screws back into the newer system and fasten everything up. At this stage, I was pretty much just working backwards. Once I had all these screws fastened back in place, all I had to do was just put the trim that I took out earlier back onto the system and tidy everything up. Alright, so this is the system hooked up to my phone via a USB-C to A cable, and this enables the Android Auto feature, which allows you to get maps, have your music playing, your messages and calls, all that good stuff going. You also get a few extra entertainment apps as well that you can use directly from the system itself when hooked up to your phone. Alright, so this has been my unboxing and installation of the Scumaxcon 360 Pro. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope you all took away something from this video. I know I've been gone for a while, but I'm back now, and I'm excited to put out new content on this channel. And I think the first thing we'll do is a review on this unit, so stay tuned for that.